thanks for coming, guys. We obviously had our first practice yesterday. I was excited about it. I think that we have a lot of talent on the team. I like what our assistant coaches did in the recruiting process. The challenge right now is to bring them all together and become a team as fast as possible. There'll be great competition on the field in practice, which will make everybody better. I think that the number one thing is to be able to come together and have great competitive spirit, be committed like we were last year, and them to understand that this is a whole new team. So it's a lot of work to go into it, and don't think that we're just going to show up and have the same success that we did in the spring. It's up to us to prepare that way here in camp and in our scrimmages and get everybody better. That's what we're really trying to do, is improve on a daily basis in our individual skills and in our assignments and things that we have to do within the schemes to be the type of football team that we want to be. Offensively, it was good to see our offensive line have a lot of carryover and understanding of what we're doing. Certainly can see a lot of improvement there. Might not be a whole lot of new faces there as far as in the depth or in the starting, but they're going to challenge and make everybody else better. But it's good to see BB and Brian, things that they can do out there. Another Fitzgerald, Sean Fitzgerald, who was here in the spring, but was not eligible to play because he played in the fall, and then transferred here. I think is going to add a lot to the competition. He's big, physical, and experienced, really understands how to play on the offensive line, so I'm excited about him. Ian Fitzgerald had a great off-season, even though it was real short. He had a great off-season, gained weight, got stronger, and you can see him playing with more confidence out there, so that was good to see. Feel like we're faster at receiver, and threw the ball down the field better yesterday in practice, and I think we did all spring. There should be great competition there. But like I said, the number one thing they got to do is learn the offense as fast as possible. But it's good to see the depth and the competition going on out there. Defensively, I feel like we'll be a real good football team. We got just about everybody back, which makes it a challenge to make sure that we practice as hard as we need to practice and execute like we need to execute in practice. And not be complacent at all. There's some new guys that I think will be in the mix for starting. And again, we'll have a lot of competition at the linebacker spot. There's always competition on the D-line because they all play and we rotate them in. Shelley, who is Ryan's younger brother, looked really good yesterday in his first day of practice with his explosiveness and movement. And 300-pound guy that can really run and move. Very, very competitive. So I'll be excited to see him when we put the pads on. Not as much that you've learned in a day with no pads, but we're continuing to work at it. I'm excited about this afternoon's practice, and I look forward to all the competition at the different spots. With that, I'll just open up for questions.
Talk about it being a new team. Just what do you see the biggest differences from the roster you had just a few months ago to what you have right now?
Yeah, I think first it stands out at the receiver spot. The depth, the speed that we have there is a little bit different. I think Andrew Cunningham at the running back spot will really compete. It's great to have Latulis back. Bias is probably the best shape he's been in, certainly since he's been here. But he had a great off-season too, and got back to the type of weight room stats that he had before. When he transferred in, he didn't have much time to prepare. That was the one thing that you saw in the spring, was some of the guys that transferred in and played right away. They got here January 11th, I think it was, and were lining up and playing games in February. So it was a really short period of time. I think the number one thing that stood out was probably the receiving corps.
What's it do for offensive playbook? do you feel like it's going to be more, or we're going to see a different kind of offense than we saw maybe in the spring? That you'll be able to open up more, or just kind of what are you looking at there?
Well, I hope so. I hope so. You know, we played such great defense last year that certainly the play calling and what we did offensively changed from what I'm used to doing and what I like to do. You know, we had to play to our defense and our special teams. You know, make sure that we didn't turn the ball over and lose the game on offense. And in doing that, we continued to improve each week, especially running the ball. You know, I thought that was a huge thing for us, and playing well in the fourth quarter. You know, our ability to play well in the fourth quarter. But I'd like to be more explosive. I'd like to be able to get back to having big plays, short catches and long runs for touchdowns, long throws for touchdowns, running the ball with breaking tackles and going for touchdowns. So, you know, I think we got a great defensive front. So a nice way to play the game is to be able to be explosive, aggressive on offense, get ahead, and make the other team have to throw the ball. I think if we can make the other team have to throw the ball, we'll be able to tee off with some of our pass rushers and things that we do defensively.
Coach, you talked about it a little bit, but the most unique part of this season is the short off season that you've had to prepare for it. I know you've only been out there one day so far, but just kind of, you know, how do you see the fitness of the guys? This is something in your coaching career you've never faced, no one else has ever really faced.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with our guys, to be honest with you. You know, we gave them May and said, you know, relax, take time off, heal, rest. A lot of them did it for a week or 2 weeks, and then tried, you know, wanted to get right back into the weight room and get working out. But we had a good month of June, we had a good month of July. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday we did testing and some combine, you know, work stuff. And our guys were really excited about it. I think they surprised themselves some too on the numbers that they hit in the testing. It certainly surprised me on our strength and, you know, some of the things we did. I was impressed with the type of condition, the type of shape that we're in. We're much stronger, lower body and upper body. So that was kind of the concern, how you do that. And they had a good time doing the combine work on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. A lot of energy, a lot of team building in it. So I thought it went real well.
The other thing, big thing this year, I guess, is, you know, last year was dominated in the conversation by the COVID protocols and everything that went into that. Obviously, this year's a little different just by virtue of us being here in person. But just kind of, how do things look for you guys in that realm as far as keeping the players healthy and safe? And if you're able to talk about it, what's kind of the vaccination rate that you guys have on the team?
Yeah, I think it's still an issue. You know, definitely we can't just relax and think COVID's gone. We can see some of the things that are going on throughout the country, and especially here in our county. We're at 86% with our teams vaccinated. I think with our inner circle, we're more than that. So our guys have done a good job, if that's what they wanted to do. You know, we tried to encourage them to get it. There's some guys that certainly are not into doing it, and then there were some guys that were. So a number of them like to. So I think that's a good percentage for us. You know, we'd like to see us get a few more. The thing you worry about is a guy that doesn't get vaccinated. Now he's having a great year. He's doing a really good job, and all of a sudden, 4 games in, he comes down with COVID. Because normally it's been a 2 to 3 week deal when you test positive. Good thing is with the rate of vaccinations we have, then we won't have so many primary contacts and guys having to sit out for 10 days to 2 weeks. So that's what, you know, gives us some comfort. It becomes an issue again, but we're still going to work hard on the protocols, and making sure we do the things right. I've been impressed with this team. You know, we did a great job in the spring. Knock on wood. We had 2 positives in the entire team during the spring, and certainly they both missed some games. But we did a good job overall.
Do you have looking at your roster, there's so many transfers. Do you have a number of turnover that you have this year? The total number of transfers?
I don't really have that. I didn't count it up. Yeah, we have a number of, we have quite a few of them. There's question about that. I think it was something that with our success and what we did, and our coaches being from different areas in recruiting and having different contacts throughout, we're able to get after some of the guys that were in the portal. Some of the guys that were in the portal contacted us, and we just tried to proceed on what was best for our depth chart.
Jason Shelley is one of those new names I'm sure you're excited about. Just what went into bringing him in, and what can he offer you guys to answer the quarterback competition?
Yeah, I think he's a really good player. Watching him compete against Oregon, and Colorado, and Northwestern, and BYU, I guess those were the 4 games that I broke down and watched, and seeing him making plays against that type of competition. And then when he had an interest, we just pursued the recruiting of him. He did a really good job in practice yesterday. I think between him and Jake, they'll be really good competition. They'll make each other better. They're good in the meeting room together. I know we got a young guy, Tess Horn, out of Alabama that we really like. Tess is not as physically ready to play. Got some work to do in the weight room and work to do. Had played 3 sports in high school and physically has a little ways to go, but he really can play the position. He knows what's going on out there, and throw the football, and he's really smart. So it'll be fun to have that group. We'll miss Matt. Matt did a good job for us. Came in my office, said he thought he had to go home, take care of his mom, and do some other things. So we'll certainly miss him. I thought he did a great job for us in the situations he was put in.
Jaden, from year 1 to year 2, just what are you seeing from him? Just kind of maturity for a young quarterback.
Well, we want to see him, mentally get better and not have to think about it. You could see last year there were times where he was thinking too much and kind of, slows down his reaction and athletic ability. So we want to get it where it's, in his mind, the first time he says it, he pictures what the play is, sees the defense, and then can play faster. Get the ball out quicker and, let his athletic ability show up a little bit more. And he's worked hard at it. I think he'll definitely improve. Only had 1 practice, but you see him getting the ball out quicker and his release being better.
Receivers, you did Tyrone Scott, Tariq Owens, GTO's kid. Just what do these guys offer? I know you want to do explosive plays and just don't want the ball down the field. Just how much do those guys help change what you want to do?
Yeah, I think they'll help us a lot. They're some big physical guys, some guys with great speed. They'll make our defense better. I think that's the one thing that stood out in practice yesterday was the corners and safeties a little bit surprised about the speed that got on them and how quickly the receivers got on them. And they'll know they've got to get better and improve on a daily basis. So I think it'll help both sides of the ball, no question. They'll be great competition. They all made plays yesterday. Xavier Lane stood out pretty good. Scott made a couple really nice plays. T.O. shows the speed. He would be the fastest of them all. We didn't test 40s in the combine work, but we did test 10s and 20s. I just didn't want to run 40 and have a guy pull a hamstring and be gone for a month. So we wanted to see, mainly for special teams, who had the best 10 and 20, so we could adjust our special teams depth. But T.O. blew kind of everyone away on those times. Jahad Booker's another guy with great speed. Showed some really good awareness yesterday, burst after the catch. So that was kind of exciting for us. The Mitchell kid, who transferred from New Mexico State, has some similar traits to Latulis. Guy that could, play both out maybe in the backfield, run the ball a little bit, catch the ball, run after the catch. Real explosive. Looked good catching punts and returning punts yesterday. I thought he really stood out at that. So it was good to see. It was good to see a group of them. And then I think the guys that were there practiced and competed as hard as they ever have. Vic, you get what you get from Vic every single day. He's like the greatest team player in the world. He does everything you ask him to do. He goes as hard as he possibly can. He understands what's going on. He helps coach out on the field. He's running and telling other guys what they need to do. But both Payne and Key, who are very talented young guys, I thought had really good days yesterday, so that was great to see. And Wood, he's another guy that didn't get a lot of playing time last year, but did a great job in the weight room. He had some of the best lifts from the receiving group, and he made some plays in practice yesterday too. So, like we say, they all make each other better.
What goes into, I know Dimitri Moore was pretty sought after, but ends up here, just kind of what goes behind trying to get him working on you guys?
Yeah, I think our defensive staff just did a great job of getting a relationship with him and his mom, and talking to him every single day, giving him the opportunity to come in and play. He's certainly very, very talented. And that linebacking group is another area where we feel like there'll be a lot of competition. We've got Dimitri, we've got Trey Thompson that came in, who looked very good. We've got a couple of young guys that I was really impressed with, in Ward, Hopkins, that can run and move. We're a little bit bigger than I thought they would be, so it's exciting to see that explosiveness at the linebacker spot.
If you could expand on Stephen Moore, just a local kid, what have you seen from him?
Yeah, I think he's going to grow into being a really good player. He's a little skinny still right now. One of the things that stood out when we were recruiting him was his ability to make plays at receiver, and the plays he made on offense, and then go over on defense and run and tackle. So the athletic ability is certainly there. He's going to need some time in the weight room to get stronger, to stay healthy, and be able to be physical all the time. I think that would be your concern right now, is just his overall strength and physicalness. But his instincts and his ability to run are really, really good.
When you look at the roster, I mean, so many new names you have that you feel like you have good depth now. Just how amazed are you at the way that's been able to just kind of turn around just 2 seasons, or the way you've been able to?
I'm excited for it. Like I said, the biggest challenge we have is bringing them all together and putting the pieces in the right spots and making sure that they know what we're doing. We don't try to do too much. I think that's probably the thing as coaches. You gotta, we got a lot of new guys now. We gotta not try to do too much. Make sure they get on the field, play with their instincts, and aren't slowed down by thinking. So that's the challenge.
Coach, I'm curious, with all the name, image, likeness developments, if you've had any players that have kind of pursued that, and kind of what your thoughts are on that development.
Yeah, I really don't know if any of our players have gotten any deals yet, or are pursuing any, or have been contacted. The number one thing that I told them was, if that happened, they need to just go through the process the right way, which is immediately contact Alex, our compliance director, and make sure that everything's done the right way. So I think it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. I'm not sure how much of an effect it'll have at this level in the FCS, but that's certainly going to be an effect in the SEC and places like that. You don't have coaches say he's making 7 figures just for the heck of it. He's saying it for recruiting. That's just what they do. So it'll be interesting how it affects college sports in general.
When you look back at it, I mean, you've had Lamar Jackson, you've had some huge names that could have really benefited from it. Was long overdue? Is it something you would have liked to see for those guys back then?
Yeah, I think it's good for the athletes, and as long as it's a positive and doesn't affect recruiting, doesn't affect the different levels of athletics. I think that's the concern that you have. And certainly, for some really good players, they did get their education paid for, and they do get certain things, but not like it is now. So it'll be, like I said, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
You talked about Stephen Moore. I know you get a lot of transfers from a lot of different places, but it also seems like there's a lot of value that you've shown in recruiting to the area. Just how much importance do you place on that in getting out to these local schools and recruiting kids there to try and bring them up in the program that know what Missouri State's all about?
Yeah, we definitely want to try to do the best job we can in the state of Missouri, and certainly in our hometown and areas that are close. I think it helps in a number of ways. crowd is one of them. And I still believe that's our responsibility to get people in the stands, put a great product on the field, some familiar names on the field, get a couple star players that everybody relates to and wants to come see perform. So I think that's an area that helps a lot. And guys that have grown up and seen Missouri State have some ties to it. We're definitely going to recruit them, evaluate them, and try to get the best players that we can.
I'm excited about the defense. Like Coach said, we have to get to where they understand that past success is exactly what that means. It's in the past. This is a new football team. We have to continue to have the same sense of urgency that got us to this point. Everyone wants to come to a program where you are looked at as one of the top contenders in the most powerful conference in FCS. If we can continue to do our job day in and day out, I think that that's what we can become here at Missouri State. There's no doubt about that. First day of camp went really well. The guys played hard. Not a ton of turnover on the defensive side. Obviously, we brought some guys that we're excited about. So we had a good day yesterday. Got to be more technically sound. Just attention to detail has to be at a premium. We can't just say, sure, we had 27 sacks last year. We had yada, yada, yada. The numbers are what they are. Again, it's in the past. We have to develop who we are as an identity of this football team that we have right now.
You go from that past success, but you got to feel like after 1 year you could be even better. Just where does that go, and how do you get to where you want to be?
Yeah, I think we can have a good group, but again, it takes the structured work of day in and day out, coming with the mindset of you have to push to be better today than you were yesterday. You can never become complacent on, last season, awesome, great. You have to move forward and continually push yourself to be, we always call it, be your best self. Be the best version of you day in and day out, and all that will take care of itself. I think, again, once the guys get that thoroughly through their mind, we shouldn't have any issue getting better and better as we go.
Coach mentioned specifically kind of how that defensive front's going to be huge for your guys to try and slow down the opposition run game, forced in the pass. Just how much is that something that you're focusing on for kind of the team game plan?
Yeah, those guys do a great job. There's a ton of experience in that room, which really helps. They're a group that goes about their business in the right way. They come into meetings, handle themselves as professionals, and are extremely productive on the field. And we are going to lean on them heavily to do what you have to do in this conference, which is stop the run. You have to eliminate explosive runs, and then like Coach Petrino said, our offense is going to take off this season, and we're going to be able to do some things on third down a little bit more creative and just get after the quarterback even more.
Alan Love, a new name on the defensive line, just a kind of surprise name in recent days. Just that guy from Mississippi State, Louisville, just what's he bring to you guys?
Yeah, Alan Love is another guy we were familiar with. We had a prior relationship with him while we were at the University of Louisville, and he's a great young man. He brings power to the D-line. Another guy that can come in that has played places that have had a ton of success. And just when those type guys come in, they bring another level of intensity and push to the guys that were here before them. I think that's really good for Alan Love to come in and get comfortable with Coach Scott again and really find his role in that D-line, which has a ton of depth and should be one of our strong suits.
It feels like just the depth you guys have there, it's got to fire you up. Just Aaron, Kevin, Isaiah, it seems like you're able to rotate guys in, keep them fresh, and getting better. Yeah,
you answered the question awesome. I mean, seriously, that's the key to what we're going to do. Build depth, and that way everyone's always fresh. You're getting the best version of them each and every down, because you don't miss a beat when you bring in a 2 or a 3 that can rep with the 2s or 3s in practice, because they're focused and dedicated enough that they know exactly the scheme and what they're supposed to do, and they do it in a dominant manner. So that is extremely encouraging.
We asked Coach about Stephen Ward. I mean, local product and a guy you kind of know something about. I mean, at Nick said they bring in a new coach and kind of redefine the program. You guys are kind of doing the same thing here. Just what have you seen from him?
Yeah, Stephen Ward's great. Me and him have a really good relationship. I was actually able to recruit him locally, and he's another guy that understands what you have to do to be successful. When you watch this high school tape and you talk to John down there at Nixa, he's a workaholic. He loves to work. He loves to hit the weight room. And Coach Petrino hit on it earlier. His athleticism really stands out. And you guys get to come out and watch practice. You'll see him flying around, doing some change of direction things that not a lot of linebackers can do. Obviously, we've got to do some work in the weight room to get him a little bigger, a little stronger, but he will continue to progress as long as he can continue to practice.
Dmitry Moore, landing him, seemed pretty highly sought after. Just what's he bring to this defense when you guys got some linebackers now?
Yeah, it was great to get Dimitri. Dimitri came obviously to us from Vanderbilt, a guy that's been all SEC, but he has to understand that just like everybody else, you come in, shows you can be productive, fit in with the room, and you'll earn your playing time. That's one thing that I've been most impressed with him, is that he's understood that you've had some success. There's guys here that you've got to continue to push for playing time, and we're really excited about Dimitri. He's another guy, again, hopefully everybody can come out to practice every now and then and kind of see him. He's a big physical presence that's played at the highest level in FBS ball, and we're glad to have him at the FCS powerhouse, Missouri Valley.
Tyler Wilkes seemed to make a jump from just kind of what he's done in the past, playing for you guys last year. Just where do you see him kind of progressing?
Tyler's worked really hard. I think what the most impressive thing about Tyler has been his mental side of the game. You've seen him mature and understand that it's more than just showing up on Saturdays and being productive. You have to eat right. You have to sleep right. You have to work as hard as you possibly can in the weight room. And he has become a leader for us in that room. He's finally, I tell him all the time, he finally found who you are, and he walks different, he looks different, and that's really helped that group tremendously with some of the young talent we have in that room that will do nothing but build depth.
In the secondary, some new faces. You don't have Jeremy this year, Jeremy Webb, but you go out and recruit some FBS transfers. It seems like that's kind of something you guys like to do with the secondary, is have FBS guys come in and just kind of go that way.
Sure, and it's one of those things you find best available, whether they're FBS, whether they're FCS, whether they're high school. The Missouri State Bears like great football players. If they happen to be those guys, fantastic. We are excited about a few guys. We've added Donovan Clark's one of those names from Boise. Jaden Smith from Houston is going to be a good player. They add a ton of length, a ton of athleticism to that secondary. Can really do what we like to do. We like to force the issue on quarterbacks. Being able to work with Coach Petrino, you always understand there's one guy on the football field you've got to affect, and that's the trigger man. If you can affect that quarterback and make him hold the ball, let the D-line, like we talked about earlier, let them beat up front, you should have a good day.
The receivers we got in, it's really exciting. I think we're going to have a chance to be an explosive offense, really throw the ball down the field. You could kind of see it yesterday at practice. We hit some plays that we didn't really hit in the spring during practice or even during the season yesterday. Just throwing some fades and hitting some posts. And it was exciting. You saw some of the older guys kind of excited about it, especially the quarterbacks who were throwing it and be able to hit them in stride. And I think we're going to be an explosive offense, and we're going to still be able to run the ball physically. Put two tight ends in the game, the tight end and the fullback, be able to run it, and then be able to hit some play actions off of it. So I'm excited about what I saw yesterday and how everything's going to go forward.
Explosive offense is just something that all of you offensive guys just kind of been nailing in. Just how much last year, just the excitement for this year. You guys weren't able to do as much as you wanted to, but it seems like that's some of the main focus right now.
Yeah, that's the identity we want to build throughout camp, is being able to be an explosive offense and be able to run the ball physically and then be able to take our shots when we want to. So it's definitely going to be a little bit of a difference from last year. It's still going to take the whole camp to be able to build that identity and have the players have complete confidence in it. Part of that is a big part of the O-line is have confidence in themselves to be able to protect and run the ball and then play action, protect, and throw the ball down the field. It all goes together.
How different do you think that's going to look? Just what we saw a few months ago to just bump the rifle now.
Yeah, there's parts of it that will look a little different, but there's going to be a lot of parts of it that are going to look very similar. It's not going to be a whole lot of different formations and different motions and all this. It's going to be kind of the same offense, but be able to take those shots when we want to, and it's kind of trying to build it out. It's not going to be like a completely different offense. It's going to be very similar, but be able to take those shots when we want to.
Is that a big lesson you guys took from last year and kind of your first run through the Valley, that that's something you want to emphasize?
Yeah, that's something we want to emphasize. It's something that we've always wanted to do. It's something we've always been able to do as an offense. To be a really good offense, you want to be able to run the ball physically and get their safeties to come down and then be able to throw it over the top. For instance, Youngstown State last year, right? We were getting in 2 tight end sets and we were running the ball and running the ball. Their safeties ended up coming down to 3 yards, like 5 yards off the ball. And the next play we threw a post over the top for a touchdown. So that's kind of how you want to build it up. Be able to run the ball, get them start coming down, and then be able to throw it over the top.
Obviously, a lot of that starts with your quarterback. You're no stranger to having a talented quarterback group. Just kind of, what do you like about the guys that you have in that collection?
Yeah, I think Jaden has done a really good job over the summer. He's in really good shape. I think he really surprised himself, with his bench press. He hit a mark. He was over 300 pounds benching. It's something he's never done. So he was really excited about that. He's also done a really good job in the meeting room and really trying to learn the offense. And even when we're in group meetings, he does a really good job of calling out. I'll ask him what the check is here. He'll be the first one to call it out. So he's done a really good job of really learning the offense. And then I'm really excited about Jason Shelley. Just a little bit video you can see it at Utah. He's really talented. He can throw the ball. He doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, but he's really accurate and he gets it out on time. And he can throw the ball, kind of when his body's a little off balance sometimes, and still be accurate with it, which we saw a little bit in practice yesterday. And Jake Van Dyne, he's just a gunslinger. He's got a really good arm. He's got a really good wrist. The main thing with him is, learning the offense and then having confidence in himself, to believe what he sees and then react the right way. But the biggest thing for him is really learning the offense. And then Tess Horn has been good. Kind of like what Coach said, he needs to develop. He's going to have to take some time to develop his body. But I've been really impressed with him mentally. He picks things up really fast. He knows the game. It kind of comes easy to him to learn things. So I've been really impressed with Tess Horn mentally so far.
That running backs group, you returned some guys, Manning, Little, Latulis. But you had a couple in there as well. Andrew Cunningham seems to be there.
Yeah. I know Andrew really well. When I was at Louisville, I actually recruited him out of Tampa. So I know Andrew really well. I watched him all throughout his high school career, and he really developed a lot, even throughout his JUCO kind of thing. Even at Georgia Southern, he's a real big physical guy now, but he's also got a little bit of speed to him. So I think he's going to be a good addition. Now, Selden, he's still kind of hurt right now, so we're not going to have him at the beginning of the year. He might be able to get back at some point, but. Tobias Little, he looked really good yesterday. Kind of like what Coach said, he looks like he's in the best shape he's been in. You can see him hit some holes yesterday and accelerate. And he's going to be a strong physical back. Him and Andrew are kind of that same in that kind of way. And I'm really excited to be able to keep Latulis back. He's going to be someone we can put all over the field, do a lot of stuff with him, hand him the ball, and throw him the ball. And he's probably one of the most athletic guys on the team. He's really explosive. So I'm really excited to get him back. I think it'll be a really good running back group.
Offensive line, you returned 4 starters, just lose 1. Do you see a lot of continuity there, kind of what we're going to see at the start of the year? But you do have some new names coming in as well. Yeah,
it's good to have 4 starters back. And then also, I think it was really good, for Landon Beebe to be named a starter. a captain by his teammates. When we vote for captain, it's the team that votes who. And I think it was really good for him. It gave him some purpose, and kind of like what I said earlier, he did a really good job yesterday in practice. And then bringing Ryan back at center, he's done a really good job. It's kind of like Coach said, some of those guys got in last year, we had like a month to get them ready for the season, and they still performed really well. And it's going to be good to have a whole year basically under their belt of learning the offense and learning the schemes and being able to communicate. So I think they'll be a lot better this year. And then obviously the new guys we got in, there's some good-looking guys. There's some really good-looking guys, especially a tackle. the guard, and it'll be exciting to kind of find out who that fifth guy is, and maybe they'll come in and take somebody else's job. So it's always good to just have competition at those spots because they'll just push each other.
Anything else? Receivers, just the guys that you have right there, Tariq Owens, Tyrone Scott, you got what do these guys do differently than kind of what we're seeing?
Yeah, so Tariq Owens is kind of like what Coach said. He's got a lot of speed, and he's also, physical. He's got a great size, but he has a lot of speed. He's going to be able to run, some fades and slants and posts and be more physical than cornerbacks. And then you got Booker, who also has a lot of speed. His get-off is what is really impressive. Is his ability to come off the line of scrimmage and accelerate. He's kind of got little short steps, but I mean, he's moving. And then you got Scott. We'll be able to line him up in all different spots over the field. So he could play outside, he could play inside. We saw in his film from Central Michigan, where he came from, that he really excelled in the slot. So there's going to be times we'll be able to put him in there and let him go against linebackers and nickels and be able to be more physical and bigger than them. And he's really quick. He's got really good feet. He's a really good route runner. So I'm excited about him. And then we got Mitchell has been really exciting to see. Kind of like what Coach said, he's a little bit like Latulis, where he's really athletic. So we're going to be able to hand him the ball. And he actually impressed me yesterday with his route running. How he knows how to move the DB and be able to move his body and his feet to be able to get open. It was impressive to see his route running ability instead of just his explosiveness. So I was excited with that.